So Chris, an Australian living in England. How did you come to live in England?
It's a long story, but very briefly, I went to Australia. I was born in England, so I'm English. I have an English passport. Went to Australia when I was only 4 with adopted parents, who, God rest them, long passed on. And I came back in 1994 when I was 47 to try to find my natural parents, and was lucky enough to find my mum. She and it worked, one of those nice ones. Sometimes it doesn't work, but we all clicked, and so through her and her second marriage, I have a half brother and half sister, and all in England. So effectively, all my family's in England now.
But you came back to Sussex originally, or not?
Yes, I had cousins on the adopted family side in Sussex, and I went there to stay with them as a base while I was doing my searching and touring, and I've never left Sussex ever since. I've lived in East Sussex over at Wooding Dean, right, just up the road from Fred Perry's old house, and down in Rottingdean, and then I moved to West Sussex to Chichester, where I'm based now.
And you learnt your tennis in Australia?
Oh yes, yeah.
And what was the highest you achieved in Australian tennis?
I once, in a junior tournament, age 13 under, I played a fellow called Tony Roach, and
Wow.
I thought he was a little sort of short, runchy guy, and I was a big, tall, strapping lad. Anyway, I got one game.
At least you got one game.
Got one game.
And that was, what was your highest point in your tennis career in Australia?
Playing for New South Wales in an interstate in juniors. I played for New South Wales in interstate against.
And now in England, you're captain of Sussex over 60s team.
Yes, yeah.
And in theory, you can play in the national events because you have a British passport.
Correct. Yeah.
So could you actually represent Great Britain if you got in the team to play in the 60s?
If I was ever asked to play, I could, and I'd love to. That's one of my goals.
And do you still play as many tournaments as you can in the veterans? Or do you tend to base yourself round the south of England tournaments?
I do now. I did go all over the place playing tournaments. I went to Europe, I went to Italy, to France. I played in a place called Chervia, played in Bagnol, played in Alassio, but now I'm coaching full time. It cuts your time back, for tournament tennis. So I just play in a couple in the south of England, one in Kent at Tunbridge Wells every year, which is on the grass.
Yeah, and at Eastbourne.
And at Eastbourne, south of England championships.
And final question, a tennis tip for doubles to anyone out there watching this. Hopefully, if anyone's watching it.
Oh, I'm certainly going to have a look at it. Down the middle. Hit the ball down the middle. Whenever you've got an easy shot, hit it down the middle.
Down the middle. Well, thanks, Chris, for tennis in Los Gigantes.
Yeah, good fun. Yeah, lovely place.